a gap in the market, especially, there's nothing from the yogic world, in the sense that nothing from India, nothing from, uh, nothing with pranayam, yoga nidra, and these practices, which also help build mindfulness. And, it's not just meditation that helps you build mindfulness. So with that intent is, what we started this, and we took decided to an investor, few investors, and somebody actually put money into us. So we raised some funding for it. I think that really started things, because you need that money to hire people and to start anything. So that funding kind of led me to look for people who could, with great voices, with good experience, and with really, I think, who understand the crux of things. And that led me to actually meet Swami Yogaratna. I'm so glad that she has joined today. I think she has been part of this journey as much as both of us here, at least in the first few years. And that had been like an incredible, I think, coincidence that I came to know about her. And through her, Sudipta, she joined. And then over time, also people in business design who helped us. So all of that happened over the years. And yeah, so that's how it all started. And yeah, so that's the inception. That's how we started. I think you were there also for some
Yes.
time. So yeah, so a lot of people in between worked with us. It was really wonderful. I think, yeah.
That's lovely. And that's exactly the reason, because I was initially involved in it and collaborated with you and Sudeep, I really wanted to have both of you here on so we could talk about the entire journey. So, when you started, I'm sure you would have had a vision in mind or goals behind, why you wanted to do this. So, can you share a little bit about that, as well as what inspired you to really bring yoga and technology together?
Um, I think it's more to do with your background and your skills, right? That's what you
Yes.
bring to the table. And with my background, with technical degree, with the business degree, it automatically kind of flows into the work that I do. I automatically kind of know how to work with software, with a lot of data, numbers, and stuff. So it kind of came naturally, to be honest, to do something like this. And automatically also, the cross you carry when you study in these big institutions, that you start thinking about scale, because that's what you hear all around. So that's why the funding happened. Initially the vision was to make it more accessible. We wanted to do content in Hindi, in all languages, which we have done, and we were really appreciated for it. And a lot of effort goes into that, translating stuff and then making it really sound authentic, and languages that we don't know, especially. So that was a challenge, but that was really what we started out to do. So the vision always was to make it more accessible, to make it, sort of to bring the flavor of yoga, which is kind of missing right now from the world, about awareness, about self-awareness, about mindfulness, and not just strength and flexibility and blah, 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 right? So that is where I think we always wanted to be as a vision. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, agree. Because a lot of people just focus on asanas and think that's exactly what yoga is, but it's so much more beyond just asanas.
Yeah, and
So,
asana also is just not physical practice. I mean, that itself is a mindfulness practice. I think that's the realization at least I've had from my practice. I think so many of us. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think
So, what
on
does
asana came from somewhat at the end almost for us in our app
Yeah.
journey. But yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So, what does Eka Yoga and Meditation offer currently?
Currently, we have a few offerings. One is these online classes that we run. So these are daily classes, and they are quite affordable, and you get to experience yoga with different teachers. So this is what I wanted to do, make it accessible daily. So we've kind of been able to achieve that, make it flexible, because women, don't stick to a time. They're not able to because of their schedule. And also, we have brought so many teachers together to teach. I think that's really beautiful. So many teachers are teaching with us. And the business model that has evolved is also interesting. We are paying the teachers and students are paying us. And, everybody is kind of finding uh, it's like it's working for everybody. It's a symbiotic relationship in a way. All of us are kind of gaining from it. And Sudipta has really led this because she's the one who's chosen the teachers and, she mentors them. So I think that's been really also bringing our skills to the table. I've started teaching because of the classes. So all that has kind of worked very well for us. So that's the first thing, the classes. And then, we do Samiksha program, as you know. So we do the Samiksha Cancer Kids program. Every week we take classes for the kids. Earlier it used to be offline, but we've transitioned online and it's working for them. So I think that's been really wonderful. And third thing is this whole Eka app content that was on the app. We've transitioned into YouTube and we are working on growing that channel. It's growing. I think as we speak, we're getting subscribers, which is great. And we are working on making it even more accessible through YouTube. All the content that we had on the app, we're kind of transitioning it on YouTube as we speak. So that's the third initiative. And now I've started working with a mental health expert to really create programs for anxiety and some of these mental health issues which need more mindfulness, need lifestyle change. So that's what is the latest initiative that we are working on. Yeah.
Right. And I know that some of your courses do have step-by-step, instructions, and it's very detailed for someone who's even beginning to, who wants to try out pranayama for the first time, yoga nidra for the first time, meditation for the first time, and it's in different languages. So that's really commendable. Like there's a lot of effort that's gone into it. So that's really, really nice.
Yeah. Thanks to Swamiji and Sudeep, everybody. I think it's been like so much learning for us because of that. Really putting it step by step. Right, Sudipta? I think Sudipta can add
Yeah.
to the
Yeah, I think the detail and the amount of research that goes into what are the different formats across different traditions and what is the essence of them, what are they trying to bring to the students, right? So you kind of try to find all of those secret underlying messages and then you put it all together. That was it's very, very interesting to learn because most of us are exposed to one tradition or the other, maybe two or three. But then when you look at so many different traditions and try to amalgamate everything, it's really wonderful.
Yeah, and I do know that you all wanted to stick to the roots, right? Like make sure that everything that you are sharing with the world comes from an authentic source. So that's really very unique about Eka. Okay, so I know that the app started before COVID, and I'm sure it helped a lot of people during COVID because that was such a stressful time for the entire world. So I'm really keen on hearing a little feedback that you all would have gotten from the public or all of your subscribers who were on the app.
Yeah, so I think feedback comes in different ways, right? Not everyone is vocal about how they are finding it or what it helps them overcome because they don't always want to share. But one thing that I think that's stood out for us, at least for me, every day when I would log in, I try to look at the dashboard and see how many people have practiced and how many of them are, regular or who have had that long streak, like 100 days, 200 days. One of the students who joined, one of the users who joined, I always refer to them as students, I should say users when it comes to the app. I think he joined like right at the very beginning, maybe the first week or something, right, Priyanka? And he had a continuous streak, like he just never skipped a day of practice, which was
I don't know how much, maybe 900 days.
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, 900.
Yeah.
It's just amazing, right? So
Yeah.
that's the kind of consistency that a lot of people showed on the app, which was very, very motivating for us. And in addition to that, verbally, of course, we used to get a lot of feedback on every single audio that is practiced. They had the option of leaving a comment and a rating for the audio. And we heard a lot of different things from, I'm so overwhelmed with everything, but the practice is keeping me sane, or I'm able to the anxiety was so much I was not even able to walk around, but now I'm able to climb up 3-4 flights of stairs. This is not with asana practice, okay? This is just with simple pranayama meditation practice. It was the anxiety that was not allowing them to do physical work, and they were able to do it. And I don't know anything. I can't remember anything specifically, but I do know
Yeah, I think,
that there are a lot of people who used it for panic attacks, who used it for
yeah, I
just
think
stress
anxiety was
relief. They were
very,
able to
yeah,
sleep, all those
yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah. I think, yeah, these are like the things that, were the rewards for us, people being able to sleep. I remember one young mom sent us data of this REM versus non-REM sleep that completely changed with Yoga Nidra, how her REM sleep increased and she was able to relax. So like that, there were users who gave us good, really great feedback. And like, like he's saying, there's testimonies are beyond just this, right? Like people using it regularly, people referring, people calling us up and saying, hey, where were you all this time? Like why didn't we have this? So these are the kind of things that, happen. But at the same time, if you really ask me, right, like what is what is the total set of people, right? We always look at the great feedback and all of that. But I think overall, it was still a very small percentage of the Indian diaspora, right? The main feedback came on Hindi, which was free. We made it free during COVID, and lots of usage happened there. And
Wow.
like, so it didn't turn out to be financially, great for us, but it was just something that we made accessible, and that really took off. I think that got used. The Yoga Nidra Tamil that we have has like 150,000 views. So these kind of things happened, which you don't imagine. Like you don't know who's using it, but they're getting used, and constantly you see the numbers growing. So that's that was really rewarding, I think.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
really amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's another reason why all of us are in this field, right? So in our own little ways, we can make impact and, just help somebody else share the
absolutely,
practice, share our knowledge. So I'm sure it must be so satisfying, especially during COVID. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
as women in the tech and startup space, what were some of the challenges that you all faced?
I think, to be honest, like I wouldn't say that it was very women specific. I think it was more to do with our own fears and our own anxieties. About like showing our face on social media, for example. I think we both still struggle, to do that. We talk about it, we plan for it, but we share one post and we kind of disappear. It's been really, I think that's really held us back. Still, we are both kind of camera shy, and I think Deepta really kind of put a lot of effort in recording videos. She kind of overcame that fear a little bit in filming videos and putting them out, and really high quality videos she produced like on her own in a way, without support. Because COVID time is when she started doing that. But these are the things that I think women tend to be somewhat like that. A lot of us, camera shy, and so I think that kind of held us back, because in the age of social media, you have to speak. People want to know who you are. And I think I have never, like, it's just been like, I think it's the first interview we were doing. We were talking about it. We used to refuse, these magazines who came, we used to refuse like talking to them. It was just like something that we don't find it very comfortable to do. So that held us back. I feel in hindsight, that is. Another thing I think is as, and as any tech entrepreneur, if you're doing anything online, you have to keep yourself updated. Like now ChatGPT and generative AI is out
Right.
there, and so we have to know what to do with that. And if you really ask me, like with all these, not just technology, look at science. This the science, like there's a drug for losing weight now. We all know that, right? Like that Ozempic drug that is there. So people will just pop a pill. It's going to be real. So how many people will actually exercise? Because you can pop a pill and lose weight. You can pop a pill and sleep. You can get rid of anxiety. And that's what's becoming the tendency. And people don't see the long term picture, right? So so we have to be updated with these things and take calls which are practical and which are implementable. And being women, we don't move in those networks. Like that is the thing. So because of my background, because of the college I went to, I still connected to people who tell me what is latest and how to use it. I'm constantly doing that. But if you're not connected as a tech in the technology space, you are going to be doing something which is maybe just overtaken by somebody else. So I think
Right.
women are not good at networking and stuff. So that I think is quite important, I feel, to be updated with stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And it's also very important, like social media these days, it's like a game changer. So thank you for the
Absolutely.
first interview with us. It's such an honor. Well, now it's time to shine even more.
Yeah.
Okay. How's the
I think,
competitor
there's another
landscape?
challenge. Like
Yeah.
I think the other challenge is what we all face as uh, being multitaskers at home, managing so many different things happening
Yeah, definitely.
together. I think
Yeah.
that is something all women are familiar with. So
Actually, that's what held
balancing
us
work
back.
and this.
Yeah, definitely. I think I missed on that, but I think that's what has held us back because I think the app was set to grow. Like we were good, and COVID hit, and we had no help at home. Sudeep and I both had issues with our kids. They were at home. They were at an age where they should be outdoors. So they had issues, and we were resolving them, and we were at the forefront of resolving them. So it really did the app did take a backseat. We were not spending the time that we should have been spending on it. So yeah, does happen.
Okay. So now that you were talking about pills and everything, so I'm sure in the work that you've done over the last 4 or 5 years, you would have come across some of your competitors, right, in this space of yoga and well-being. So how is the competitor landscape? And I'm just very curious to understand, did you have any mentors in the startup space or even in the spiritual space? How is that journey like?
Priyanka?
You want to answer?
Competitors, I think, see, when we started Eka, I don't think there was any equivalent app in India. Okay. So for meditation, I don't think there was anything else out there from India. And that's why we had that golden opportunity at that time. So it was the perfect time because there was nobody else. But very soon after that, COVID hit, and then Calm and Headspace came to India. They started offering a lot of deals for all students. It was free, and like it was, which was something
Yeah.
we couldn't really compete with at that time. And we actually had a full studio. We had all of these expenses, right? We had a sound engineer who was full time with us. Priya, you've been to the space, you know how it
Yes.
was. We had 14, 15 engineers. I mean, it was a full team, and we couldn't afford to give it out for free at that time. And I think that was one of the big challenges for us. And then very soon after that, there were a lot of apps that came out
A
in the
lot of
market.
apps that day because of
But
COVID,
the quality
actually.
was not the same. Like,
Yeah.
it was home recordings. We could easily tell there was no sound engineer who had worked on
Yeah.
it, processed it, removed the background noise, nothing, right? So what we realized at that time was that people didn't really, the number of people who valued that premium quality were very few. So I think that was a lesson for us, that and we would constantly get requests for why isn't it free? Why isn't it free? So we converted all of the Hindi content to be free on the app, and we continued with paid English users. And a lot of them were not even from India, right? A lot of users were from the US and Australia and Europe, Israel. So, like, I think I remember Swami Yogatna's students, some of them had joined. So we had people from everywhere. But there was definitely a market for Indians who wanted an Indian voice. And they did not prefer Calm or Headspace because they were not Indian voices. They wanted people from here who spoke like them because it connected better. Especially for a meditation practice, I think you connect a little bit better for you. At least I
Yeah.
do when the accent is not too far away, and even local language content. Like I like that Kannada practice. I like the Hindi practice because it just touches a different way. Priyanka, you want to say something about competitors?
Yeah. So I think the COVID, although was a great opportunity for us, but it was also an opportunity for everybody else to do this, right? So a lot of people started doing these meditation apps. Suddenly, from like 10, 15 on the App Store, we had like hundreds of apps. Buddha, this, that. Everybody started doing a meditation app. I think Om Swami launched his app, and Art of Living then pumped money, and then the Brahma Kumaris launched their app because there was the time was right for that. And like Sudeepta is saying, right, like Mind House, remember, like really not very good content, but there was a company called Mind House. And they just started calling like people in our team to join them, and like things like that started happening during COVID.
Poaching.
Yeah, so I think COVID was actually, I think it was really should not have happened. If you had given another year before COVID, I think it would have been much better place to face COVID. It just happened very suddenly. And yeah, we were growing before that, but suddenly, it became very competitive. And we had no time as moms, so it was like really a big challenge. Yeah, but I
So
think
how did
anxiety.
your
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
sorry, no, sorry, I didn't mean to
No, I'm
cut you
saying
off.
that anxiety program and all, we also did some beautiful things during that time, but at the same time, it was very competitive. Yeah. Hmm.
So then, considering all of this competition in the market, how did you all price your classes? Because there are a lot of apps there who just say 99 rupees per class. I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, how do you sustain? So I'm just wanting to understand how was your business model like? How did you all price your classes, etc.?
Yeah, I think it all depends on how much money you want to spend on marketing and what kind of class you want to offer. You can have the 99 rupee classes where you will have 500 people, 1,000 people logged in, and it's a one-way instruction. Like, the teacher is demonstrating and doing, and nobody's watching you. And then you have a more personalized class like what we offer, where we have maybe 15 people in a class, 20 people in a class, or usually 15 people or 10 people in a class. So you get a lot of individual attention. Teacher is monitoring you and you're getting feedback. You're able to unmute, talk, check if there is some alternative, if you're not comfortable, or, there is more interaction basically. Your teacher knows you. So yeah, that's how those classes end up being 99 rupees, because it's like watching a YouTube video, and a lot of times it is something that is pre-recorded, that is played to you. It's appears to be live, but it's not really live. So you record,
See,
in one day you record 10 videos and then you put it up, or it depends on the numbers you're going for. Yeah.
I just wonder, I think it is in India, you try to sell anything at, that's what our learning has been. You sell anything at 750, it will sell. You put it at 1,500, half numbers. You put it above 2,000, nobody is looking at you. Okay, it is true, it is what it is, right? Because when you start targeting people who are, those, how many are there who own smartphones in India, and how many can actually afford? Probably 200, 200 million people you're talking about. As soon as you start targeting those, Flipkart, Amazon, everybody is targeting those. So the ads are so expensive there, right? So you have to price higher. But that that class of people would then go for a personal yoga trainer or something like that, right? So the competition is from different levels, right? So if you're offering an online class and you're competing with others who are giving it at 99, you better have something more to say, or some experience should be wow. And then also you can't charge a wow price to them, That's been the learning. Like, you cannot sell above a certain price in India. That's the middle class, or you can say just a little bit lower middle class. The people who are actually looking for yoga will not spend more than X amount. So you have to price it like that. There is no other way to do it. Yeah.
I think also, there is a lot of upselling, like she said, not just in terms of private classes, but also products and all that. I think for a hot 5 minutes, Priyanka and I even considered, like, do we want to add some yoga mats and all that? We even ordered some to check the quality and whatnot. And we said, okay, this is not sparking joy for us. So no, it is not going to happen.
Yeah, we have tried cotton yoga mats and stuff and thought like, okay, let's just sell products. Yeah, it's happened.
I mean,
Yep.
anything, sometimes desperate time, desperate measures, but then whatever works, so.
Absolutely.
But I'm so glad you chose to like stuck to traditional yogic practices. So thank you for that. It's really commendable. So with that, according to you all, what have been some of your greatest achievements on this journey?
I think the results of some of the programs that we've offered, right? I think for over a year, we've offered live meditation classes through the day, actual live meditation classes. And I think the feedback from those classes, they were really phenomenal. Like, people were able to make that connection with a simple practice. It was just 20 minutes, 20-minute practices, and their lives changed. So many of them wrote into us saying that their physical health is better. They were not doing, we were just doing a few minutes of stretching before doing pranayama and meditation, but they were suddenly able to do a lot more physical activity. Endurance was better, sleep was better, overall functioning, the work, they were able
BP,
to,
people,
blood pressure,
yeah, those issues were
diabetes also, like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, lots of lifestyle conditions. I think people really made a huge leap with those classes.
And we
And
had feedback from my mom who said like she's responding to her kid instead of reacting. You remember that? She actually recorded a
yeah,
video and sent that. So yeah, that I mean that really
that
stuck with me.
yeah. She said, I was before I used to. She was a regular yoga practitioner. She was doing asana classes, but with those meditation practices, she said, I am now able to make that connection. And I think, here I want to say something a little extra where many times we do the practice without knowing what the practice can do for us. And some of us like to hear, like, this is what the practice can help you do. And if you mention those in your classes, right, instead of doing just the practice itself, just the technique, we focus a lot on technique. But understanding what the technique will help you to do, just that information that this is what
No, actually,
it can
it
help you
helps
to
you.
do.
Yeah, see, it helps you set intention. See, that's what it
Yeah.
does, right? So that intention and when that attention, that is, I think, the magic
Right.
portion, in my opinion. The intention plus attention marriage. That's what was happening in those classes. Yeah.
I think we also did some assessments with the meditation class, and also we do that as a part of our offering in the asana also, where we ask them, are you able to follow the practice? Are you doing it regularly? And then there was another question: are you able to recognize in your daily life where this practice can be applied? And then are you actually able to apply it? So where are you at? So it kind of gives you this path of, this practice will help me to get there where I will, instead of reacting, respond. So
Yeah.
Right, yoga not just on the mat, but off the mat also, right? Like how
yeah.
do you practically apply it in your life?
And like you asked, what is the biggest success? I think the biggest success also is that, on the business side now, we are not really losing money. Come
That's
to a
amazing.
place where, we are not making a lot, but we are also not losing a lot. We are kind of in a break-even zone. That's just very relaxing, like I think it's it's just relaxing to do this now. Instead of taking, that load of doing more, and it's just like it happens, and like our classes are giving us some money and something is going, and it's all kind of equal. So that's okay.
So you'd say about 4 to 5 years to break even?
Actually, you see, breaking even is a very, I think, not the right way one word, because we have spent a lot, right? To recover that, I think will take us time. But yeah, breaking even in a technical term, yeah, I think you should aim for that. And now I think next 2 years is really defining, whether we want to continue this or no, because you can't keep running a business forever if it's not really generating good money, I think, for everybody involved. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Can you talk a little more about some of the challenges in really running an app successfully and sustaining it? I know you mentioned that you had a huge team, but what else is involved? Like, what were the 15 members of the team doing? Some were engineers, some were into marketing, some were teachers. But can you share some additional challenges that you all faced?
Yeah, like see, one is it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to grow a company, that scale a company, right? So if you're trying to do it the fast way, the VC funded way, then this route you have to take. You have to hire a lot of people, you have to pump money into marketing, and then hope to grow fast. So yeah, so you will need. There's so many things you need, right? So you need all the business kind of things, right? Then you need the engineering and the technology, and it's not just the people. You need the big, like AWS. You're going to host that app somewhere. that is going to be a recurring cost,
Yeah.
right? You will have to host the app somewhere. So Google has to be paid, Apple has to be paid when you host those apps. And they take a cut every time you get a payment. So even if you charge 1,500, 30% went to Google straight away. So what comes to you is even less. So these are the things that, you need to kind of account for when you design something. And then, on the marketing front, you need a designer because your app needs to look a certain way to, appeal to a global audience. Then you have the marketing costs of maybe hiring a marketing manager. We've hired social media managers, but we could never hire a business development manager because they're just so expensive. And then one is the setting up of things, right? So we set up a studio that costs us money. And then it's the operations of that, which is every now and then Google and Apple will ask you to update the app, right? So there was this thing, I think where we really lost out was a change from RBI where they said Indian cards cannot go on subscription. Okay, so all our users were monthly subscribers, and suddenly their subscriptions ended. And from earning like say 4 lakhs a month, I straight away went to like 50,000 because every time to get somebody to renew their membership, I have to ping them and say, hey, your things have expired. So these are the things that keep happening in India. It's really bizarre. And then the privacy thing came. So that's when we moved to YouTube because Google and Apple said, hey, now data has to be private. You cannot track your users' journey into the app. So I have to ask every time to the user, hey, you're using this. Can I record this? Or I have to take a permission. So I have to add that to the app, which is a lot of work if you really say in the technical terms. So again, paying engineers, because we had gotten rid of the team, Upkeep only needed a small engineering effort. But then to again get the hire the developers, you have to pay so much money. So all that became, so it's pretty expensive, it's a few lakhs every month minimum to run the technology, the engineering team, and the basic, things. And then you have to have a CA who gets paid, to run the account.
Right.
So running a company can be quite challenging and expensive. And then the salaries have to go out, right? You hire people. So all of that is pretty, it is expensive. And that's what gives you the tension, I think, because things have to be paid for, right? Yeah.
Right, of course. And now that everything's just going on cloud, I know that AWS is also very expensive to host your content.
Yeah.
And even if you want to exit, you have to pay money, right?
Yes.
So it's crazy.
Annual contract with you, they'll give you a huge discount. So you can't just close down. You have to pay for the annual. If you close down in January and you have the whole annual plan, it's not like you'll get the money back. You don't.
Yeah.
So
Very
even if you
enticing
decide
in
to
the
close,
beginning.
yeah, I need to keep 10 lakhs to just close the company. I'll tell you that. It's not easy to close also a company in India. Yeah, it's expensive.
Right. Yeah, like I said, very enticing in the beginning, but then once you get into it, you realize, oh my God, my AWS costs are just increasing and increasing and increasing.
Yeah.
So
it's so easy to be
crazy.
a single self-promoted yoga teacher. I think it's so much easier. It is like, yeah.
Okay. At what stage of the journey did you really consider funding, and how did that work out? How was that? What did you really have to do to get funding for the app, and what went into it?
That was the first step. That was the first step, actually, right? If there were no funds, I couldn't have done anything. I mean, the first step has to be that, I feel. So we started with that, and because we got the money, we started doing this. You can't build anything without money, really, right? And so I would say that that's the first step. Now, what we decided later on was during COVID, we decided that we can't grow it like we were thinking we were going to grow it because we're not putting the time. You have to put those 12 hours. We were meeting every day in the office, right? Like we were in the office every day because my kids could go to daycare or school, preschool or whatever. My kids could go to. But if that is not happening, right? Like, and I have no nanny, somebody has to watch. So this is how we decided to spend money mindfully. I think we took that call that we'll not splurge and we'll be careful about what we spend. So that's the call we took.
Yeah. And what were some of the, big decisions and key moments in this entire journey?
I think some of the content, like I said, during COVID, people with a lot of anxiety started coming to the app. So we knew that for anxiety, starting with meditation is not a good idea. So we started adding the asana content, which was, I think, a very big deal because we had to make it in such a way that at that time we still wanted to do multilingual things. So we had to do the audio recording and then do the physical practice. It wasn't just like, set up your Zoom call and record you teaching a class. That would have been much simpler, but we did an audio recording and then we played it and did the video recording on a
And then
good
translated to
device,
Hindi and then
then
recorded
translated
in
Hindi and to get it recorded, so
so
matching
much work.
everything up to make
Right.
sure it lined up. So that was like one of the big things there. We added asana content on the app. We have a lot of decisions. Actually,
Like
we
lot of decisions. Actually, see, the big decision was in terms of like really the big decision was one, shutting down the office, moving to a smaller space when COVID hit because people were not coming in. So studio we had to let go. We spent like 3.5 lakhs, I think, setting up that studio. We just wrapped it up. And it was, see, when you have a studio, it's so easy to just go and record stuff. Like you just
Yeah.
go, you practice, and you can. It was amazing, and I still remember Swamiji sitting there. Orange, yeah, it's like really, it was really nice. And so these things, it was big decision, right? We just shut it down, not knowing how long COVID would last, right? We kept it for a few months, and oh my God, again a new wave is coming. What's happening? So that was one big decision. Then taking this decision of actually scaling down the marketing and saying that no, this is not going to be we're not going to pump money in it. This is the time we can put. So let's make it into a sustainable business. Uh, so that decision was a big one. And over the years, no, just continuing a program or not to continue it, see for what it is, whether we launch something and we see like Radio Eka we launched, then we launched anxiety program, then we launched the meditation classes, and finally now the yoga classes seem to be like something that we can do for some time. So it is a constant, I think it's a journey of really constantly trying and really hanging out there and, figuring out if things are actually working because you can't predict how the users will take it and whether you'll actually get paid for things, whether there'll be repeated subscriptions. So it's been a journey really of that. And every decision is like a self-inquiry for us, whether I can do it more, can I give it more time? How many years have I spent on this? So, and then figure
and
it
where
out.
to
And,
put your efforts into. I think that is another
yeah,
thing, right? You have to constantly evaluate with what else is out there and what people want. So it's a combination of looking at what are people looking for and what am I able to offer. So unless there is a demand or you're creating something totally new and that's not really what happens in the yoga space because we already kind of have what is there to offer. And then you have to see what people want and whether you want to offer it and what price range and
like weight loss. We could have easily done weight loss, but we are not doing it because both of us cringe at the idea of offering to offer weight loss. But that's what the inquiry is come for. So these are decisions every day that we make, So you have to kind of hold your ground and say, no, this is not something I'm touching. So, even though it seems lucrative. So I think these are the things that we constantly debate and do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really kind of tests your own beliefs and value systems, right? Do you really want to do it? Is it right? Should I do it or should I not? So that must have been very, very interesting. So I'm sure you did a lot of reflection and discussion and analysis. Now, if I were to tell you you can start this all over again, what would you do differently next time?
I already told Priyanka what I think we could have done better is we could have spent a lot more on marketing right at the beginning. And I think that was one thing that we could have tried differently.
Yeah. Sometimes you think that you can do these things yourself, right? Like, oh, what is it marketing, right? But then when you do it and you realize like there is a lot of nuances there that as an outsider you don't know. Like even with my MBA degree, whatever, right? If it's not natural to you, if it's not something that you've picked up in your job working, like you have to work in that to really do it. I feel like so, you have to do it to learn. And I think at the beginning we just ran as Facebook ads. We gave all our money to Facebook and Google. We could have given that money to a very smart marketing manager who could have then managed the rest of the money. I think we just did not do that. We hired everybody, engineers, technicians, designer, but we did not have a good business development person. Whatever said and done, it was required. It is still required, but we just don't end up finding them. They're so expensive. They're just so expensive to find. So that's been, I think, one of the things definitely we could have done better. Plus, I think one thing now that I have learned, and I think that goes for everyone, is when you try to do something, put your all in it, right? Like Radio Eka could have really, I think, done well, but because of other distractions, we didn't give it the deserved consistency, the deserved attention, and that is why it kind of did okay, but it did not do so well. So, like whenever we like meditation classes again, I think if we had done a little bit more marketing, wonderful feedback, wonderful everything, but just, some things
Yeah,
were
we have
lacking.
the most consistent students in that.
Yeah. So this is
on
how
those classes.
things like, so if you give it all, in a way, that little piece of X is missing, Y is missing, and then you're always wondering if we had done that, would it have helped? So hopefully the next thing we do, we are going to be much better at doing that. That's the hope.
And having more interviews.
I don't think that's going to help anyone. You can't learn anything by listening to anybody. I'm telling you, you can only learn by doing. That's my philosophy, to be honest.
True, yeah. But still, this is just so much valuable information. There are so many influencers and so many people in the yoga space, and everyone wants to start an app or, make their own business scalable, but then nobody realizes what goes into it and what goes behind it. What are the expenses? So this actually must be a very eye-opening conversation for so many other people. I have definitely learned a lot. Of course, there's a lot that you can learn while doing. Like I'm sure you would have learned a lot in the whole business world, just, in this journey of 3-4 years. But this conversation is very precious. I'm not going to put it down. Okay. Now that, you all have transitioned from an app to YouTube to make it more sustainable, what are your future plans? Like, are you working towards anything now very proactively? And then are you, how do other people collaborate with you? Or what are some of the other activities, etc.?
I think
So I think in terms of collaborations, we still, I mean, we have and we still continue to look at people who offer workshops and things that would tie in with the other things that we are doing. So, for example, with our meditation classes, we used to also offer. Sometimes we would have someone who does music meditation come on, or art, or those kind of things. I think those kind of collaborations, even the students really look forward to have something else that will tie things together. We used to have talks with psychiatrists, psychologists, and different people. So, get a little more insight on the issue. So whatever, right now we are also doing some mental health programs. So definitely we will work around that space. In addition to that, I think teachers who want to do classes with us, who want to offer classes, I think we will always be looking at teachers to come and teach with us as things go along. So maybe may offer more batches in the future. I think we also would like to do something more with like the Samiksha program, similar to that, to have an offering where we can reach out to more people with underserved populations, but in a structured way. So if there are more people like Samiksha Foundation, we would like to tie up with them and train teachers and give that offering.
So
and
I'm
also,
sure
I think
on the call...
non-Hindi content also. I think we are still looking for teachers who practice Yoga Nidra, who also speak other languages. we were very particular that people who record with us should be long-term practitioners themselves. So that is kind of a challenge to find someone. You can find really good voice artists, but the voice artist will not give you the same kind of Yog Nidra that a person who practices can give you. Priyanka?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's actually very true, because it's not just the voice, it's also the energy of the person that is going into it, right? And it's very easy for someone who's been a long-term practitioner to identify, is this just somebody, who's telling me something, or has this person really, tried it, practiced it, and is established in the practice? That makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, ideally, I think it should be like that. But I mean, these are all things that are additive, but I hope we'll be able to do something entirely, new, because, I mean, definitely what we are currently doing is not going to take our time. It's already kind of set, it's already kind of rolling, and Sudipta is already, like spending time elsewhere. So I am spending all my time with Eka, like I better do something more. So teaching is, because that's why I took teaching also up, because I mean, not just because at the time I had the interest also. And that's, there's so much to learn when you start teaching. But at the same time now, there is this thing to do something more. And so like I said, I'm working with a psychiatrist and we are trying to work on programs. I'm very excited. That can take a shape that is
Priyanka, it's
yeah.
okay. Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think let's see if that can scale. Again, we're looking at things that can actually be used across the board by many psychiatrists. So I hope, yeah, we
That's
look
lovely.
at that now.
Different
Have
ways
you,
to scale the
yeah.
program.
Of course. What are the pros and cons of, sharing the same content on an app versus on a platform, like a YouTube platform?
So I think in YouTube, what happens is it auto suggests, right, based on your interests. So your content gets discovered a little more easily. Whereas in the app, you really have to market the app. People may not have heard of it. And then after they hear of it, they have to make that decision to download it, put in their information, log in. Then they have to decide whether they want to pay for it, all of those things. The downside is, I think YouTube has ads, which for our content, it's a little distracting, and it also suggests 10 other pieces of content like yours. So your content better match up, which it does, I think. And for the user, I think it's easy. YouTube is easy because they already have it, and they can create their own playlist. I want to do yoga with Adrian Asana, then I want to do Yog Nidra with Swami Yogaratna, and so they can kind of make their own playlist. So that is kind of easier. And managing the app, I think here we just have to put the content. We just have to release content regularly. But on the app, I think it was a little bit more than just that. I mean, we had to decide what all programs we wanted to offer, how to make people stay on the platform. So we used to offer a lot of live free classes for people to interact with our teachers, which is one of the things that, which sets us apart also. I think that we had conversations with our users on a regular basis, what kind of issues they were having, because meditation can bring up a lot of things and you need a teacher to hold your hand in the journey, which in YouTube, I mean, we still manage the comments and all that, but people are not as forthcoming to put their public comment out there. So I think that's kind of a difference.
Yeah, and I think now if you really ask me, I think creating an app is not needed, really, because there are so many ways to put out content. Like I think over the years now, and there are so many software to do things. Like you can actually just use different, like, you put on so many course platforms out there. There's Kajabi and all, where you can just make an app in a jiffy and you just pay them and you can so you don't really need, I feel, if you're not like a big invested company, if you just want to do your own stuff, there are cheaper ways, easier ways to actually do these things. And there's very, very cheap ways to automate things. So, as an individual also, I think you can do a lot now. There's a lot available out there to create. And I think it works very well because they are doing the marketing for you. So if you're good, you will be discovered, is what I feel on YouTube and stuff.
Wow. Yeah. And then I know you mentioned one of your challenges was through the app, you didn't really get to see a lot of statistics and stuff, right? Because that was blocked. And I'm sure through YouTube, you have a lot of analytics and
No.
no,
We
you
had
don't?
No,
full
in the app
detail.
we had.
Very
Okay,
good
yeah.
detailed analysis one could do in the app. The user came,
Yeah.
clicked on this, and went there, and then did this. So you can actually track the entire user journey. I mean, that's how you build the app. You do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how you build it. But we
Which
had
point
a
in the
lot of,
meditation did they leave?
yeah. We had
Where
a
do they
data.
start the meditation? Like they'll start, but they'll always, start at some point. So you kind of understand what is it that they like about that practice, and you can give them more content around it. Or yeah, that's something we
And
do miss in the app. Like you
Yeah.
can really tell
Who did what?
how to
who did
curate,
what.
yeah, more content.
Yeah.
And so
It is
now
it is
YouTube,
very confidence boosting to see, people. I mean, I'm sure for Sudeepta, for using her yoga mudras repeatedly every day for she must be
No, I think
yeah.
there were a few surprises, right? Like, some of the meditations which we didn't think would do very well did really well, and others which we really enjoyed, people didn't really like. So those are very eye-opening, because as a teacher who has been teaching group classes for a long time, nobody comes and tells you like, hey, this meditation that you did, I didn't really care for it. Nobody says that. You just teach it, and then nobody generally gives a lot of feedback, right? They just say, yeah, good or whatever. But then here you can really tell, like, they did like it. No, they exited it. They did not like it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You mentioned Radio Eka in the conversation. Can you tell a little bit more about it?
Yeah, I think it was again an attempt to make a nice podcast out of India because I don't know why we don't have this stuff from here. Like that's my constant thing, like we don't have philosophy content out there. Even the philosophy content is coming from outside, all the nice podcasts that I hear are all started by people in the US, mostly, not even anywhere else. So I think this was the attempt, and we interviewed really fantastic people. I think very, very senior people, people who studied with Desikachar, people who very like well-known individuals we interviewed. Even I don't know if you know, we interviewed Nimhan's director. So we interviewed very nice people, and the whole idea was again to focus on the part of yoga which is more towards building awareness, mindfulness, and so the entire podcast was that. And we did a series on history of yoga. So all of that was towards spreading more knowledge and yeah, so we did, I think, 18 episodes there. Yeah. So, and it's available everywhere. We still get a lot of views on that. On Spotify also, we get views on YouTube also. And I hope we revive it in a very different flavor because when you do a podcast, I think what I learned later was we have to be very clear on who the audience is. So my audience was kind of mixed. I wanted students to be my audience as well as teachers. And a lot of students from abroad tune into us, but not from India, because India people are still looking for what is my solution for anxiety. So we had to kind of the next podcast that I do will be very focused on a set of audience, and we will do it. I think because YouTube is becoming a prime channel to grow the meditation content, and that's where I think we're going to start releasing new content. And I'm very passionate about content. Like I have a very detailed day. Sudipta can tell you, I can really very good teachers also. I'll be like, no, this is not good. Okay, so I mean, I'm really passionate about releasing good quality, high quality audio content, and I think I will continue to work on that bit a little bit. Where on YouTube we'll continue to do that. Yeah.
You all have been doing some really amazing work. I just got one other question to me. People want to know a little more about Samiksha. What is the collaboration with Samiksha? And I know I work with Samiksha and you guys as well. And it's purely just that, we get together and we teach cancer surviving children. So, and I know Sudipta has also worked in this space of special needs children, and I think that's what Sudipta was probably pointing to earlier on, right? Like you want to make it more accessible in places where yoga is not accessible. Do you have any other comments on that? Want to share a little more about that?
Yeah,
You
I
take
think
it.
so. Samiksha specifically is a foundation which has learning centers in cancer hospitals, because children who are diagnosed, usually it is blood cancer, that's the most common. They usually end up having a 8 to 10 month cycle of chemotherapy and various other treatments. So that means the child is out of school for almost a year. So when they go back to school, they are not able to be at the level that they should be, because they've forgotten or they've just been out of touch. So Samiksha centers, learning centers offer voluntary teachers who come and teach them to maintain their level or to help them pass and go to the next class. And they have the yoga and meditation, yoga and Yoga Nidra program for them. So they focus a lot on emotional well-being and to help them sort of deal with what is happening and to give them courage, to help them relax and be themselves for a little while. That is the purpose of this 1.5 hours every week that we offer them. And it was actually Swami Yogaratna who designed the program originally with Samiksha Foundation. And we have been we have made some modifications to the program to bring in movement, music, yoga, yoga nidra, and art. Yoga nidra and art are together because we have them visualize different things to help them either relax or to help them heal. So to create that positive feeling so that the body can relax, the mind can relax, and the body can focus on healing itself. So just to make that environment conducive. And we have, I think we have 4 centers right now who are taking this program, the Samiksha program. Yeah.
That's lovely. Okay. With that, I'm actually going to open it out to some of our audience to ask you questions. I see Janardhan having a question. Do you want to unmute yourself, Janardhan?
Yeah, good evening. I'm Raja Janardhan here. I guess I belong to one of the minorities in this group. I see that many participants who are on the other side of the gender. I'm starting out on an icebreaker to be very humorous. The question what I had, have you ever had an opportunity to work with special needs children? And if you have worked with them, what kind of methodologies, practices you had inculcated while dealing with special needs children?
Okay, so I have worked through Praful Urja, which is another NGO which brings special needs to, yoga to special needs populations, and mainly in Bangalore, but across India. And a few of our students have also taken it to Canada and Europe. The methodology we apply is to go to the root of the postures. For asana, we go to the root of the posture, and there we don't know actually how much of awareness is there because communication is an issue. So we focus more on the physical aspect of the practice, and we think about how to get the child more independent. Okay, that is the main concern of the mother and the caregiver, how to make the child more to be able to look after themselves. So it's not just about the asana itself, which we simplify a lot. We add music and poems and we do a lot of singing in the classes to relax them and to include them into the movement to kind of help them move in different ways, because usually they're not used to a lot of movement. Especially with children who have severe disability, severe physical disability. A lot of them are very, very sharp mentally, but physically they are not able to. So these are the techniques we use. We use a lot of music. We use group play. We use a lot of arts-based therapy type of things in the yoga class. Yeah, and results are actually very good. Sound-based, all of those. Yeah, Priya, you can add because you also work.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just wanted to say that it's not just, like Sudeepta said, not just focused on the child, because the child needs a lot of support. So then we also train the parents and the teachers and the staff in the school as well, right? So even if we go teach in the schools once a week, this activity kind of continues whether the child's at home or they can do it every day about 15-20 minutes. And the most important thing is patient. We have to be really patient. We're not going to see results overnight, just like how it is in a business. But then it is going to take a good few months for us to really see the change. And then the joy that we really feel, there's nothing compared to it. Because I remember we used to keep going to class and chanting Om and hoping for the kids also to chant with us. And the one day that one child chants Om with us, it's just such a joyful moment, it's amazing. It really is. Okay.
Well, I have 2-3 more questions, but I'll try and restrict it to two. What kind of metrics have you utilized to measure the improvement? And what was the duration of these therapies, which I heard there are far too many? Which of them had this direct effect or the efficacy of the therapy, and how did you measure it?
I think for that, in the schools that we teach in, there is a lot of other stuff that's happening. There's OT, PT, occupational therapy, physical therapy, music therapy, art therapy, yoga therapy. So all of it together. So it is impossible to differentiate and say, this is what has done this. And even in terms of the practice itself, actually, even for regular yoga practice, right, it is difficult to say that this exact thing has made the change. It's a cumulative effect of a lot of things that come together.
I do agree, because autism spectrum disorder terminology now has been recommended to be discontinued, and they use the terminology special needs children. But scientifically and technically, when we look at ASD, that would consist of 34 different spectrums, including the intellectual disorder, neurodiversity, neurodisorders, cerebral palsy, things like that. So I was curious to find out.
I think you can speak to.
Yeah,
sure.
Soumya would be the best
Soumya
person.
is here.
Maybe
No,
you
Soumya
can...
is right here, so you can speak to her also directly. I think.
She's here. I can do that one-on-one basis.
Yeah,
she's very. I think.
Yeah. Is she in the group?
Yes, she's on here. Soumya, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. How do we get in touch on a one-on-one basis? Okay. Let me reveal a little bit more why these questions are. I'm pursuing my master's degree in yoga therapy. A part of my academic course, I'm conducting a research on efficacy of yoga therapy in special needs children. I've spent close to almost a year before I started my intervention, visiting various cities and NGOs and special needs children. And I have encountered my own set of challenges, right from children to management and school authorities and special educators. But however, to cut it to chop to cheese, I am able to identify a couple of schools where I have got my population size, and I've already started my intervention just a few weeks ago. I'm still on the learning curve. So as much as information help I would need, I always reach out to them. That's one. My background is that I used to work in an IT company, and a very young person now. I'm just 67 years old. So the passion is what has brought me into this area. This is my brief background.
I think on the
Sure.
chat, the number will be shared, Soumya's number, and you can get in touch with her.
Yeah, that's the best way. Because I'd like to continue. Yeah, we can talk about this offline because I'd like to continue the theme of this conversation.
Thank
If-
you.
If you don't mind. And actually, with that, I'd like to really appreciate that Sudipta and Priyanka, that you've made a shift to YouTube. Although you may also have Spotify, and I know, some years ago, Sudipta, you told me, I can join this app and it's really great. And I'm really excited to hear about it. And I think you also know that I am, still in the process of learning about technology, and I actually, and how to use some of these, the technological products. But I'm just now getting into Spotify and other apps. And so it's really good to know that something like YouTube is also, your work is also available or accessible on YouTube, because I think it's also much more, it's accessible to a larger population, especially in India. Perhaps, like you said, there's a seniors population that could really benefit from it, especially considering if it's in local languages such, I'll speak for Tamil population myself, but I think that's very beneficial. So thank you very much.
Thank you for acknowledging that. I think some things happen for a reason, I feel. And I feel like this shift to YouTube is going to be good for us. I myself feel that. And, like the content will reach, our original goal of actually taking the content to more people. So we have a membership there though. So, a lot of content is for free, but there is also a membership option. And it's not for the local languages, for English. So like the 21 days of Yoga Nidra course and the 108 days of Pranayam course, we have things like that, which are still like paid. So it kind of, we can do more with that money. A little bit we are getting already. So we are already updating thumbnails. So we are trying to balance it out that we still can monetize some of it and give it out for free for some of the other stuff. But if you need access, Soumya, especially for people who are leaders in their space, I would say that just reach out, because we would just give you access. We are not like trying to hold this content anymore, especially now, like if that is useful to a certain group of people and we can design something, it'll be our pleasure to do that. Yeah.
Oh, sure. That being said, I want to also appreciate that everybody needs bread and butter, or roti and dal, or roti and sabzi, or dal chawal, whatever you want to eat, sambar rice, whatever it is. We all need that. And I think that I want to value that. In fact, I do take, sometimes I have a private yoga class for myself at 4 a.m. because that's when I like to do my yoga practices. I'm a morning riser. And I want to pay the yoga teacher, because I know as a yoga teacher, I know as an artist, as a musician, how much work I put into one person's and bringing up that one person. Then I want to value you also. So that's fine. But I'm still slow at learning the different channels.
But there is like one place where you can post and it'll go to all channels. So there are these hacks. So you should, if you want, you can just ask Sudipta on me, like you don't need to post on like 10 different channels. There are now tools where you post in one, everywhere it gets posted. So those kind of hacks you can do, and then, the work will reduce. If the same content you want to distribute it, there's a lot of different ways now to do that. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, for Prafuluja content.
I'll definitely now be able to share with some of my senior citizens that I have senior citizens in my life. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And Priya, back to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I think we're way over because it was such an interesting conversation. Thank you so much, both of you. You all are really an inspiration to
Priya-
many of us here.
Priya, before
Pragya, you have a
we,
question? Yes.
no, I don't have a question actually. I just wanted to appreciate the wonderful conversation that we've just been privy to. It was eye-opening, and I think it was relevant to a lot lot of us, seeing the kind of work that we do. So I just wanted to let Sudipta and Priyanka know that we wanted to appreciate you guys, and there's a special gift. Hopefully it's a surprise gift. I don't think you guys know about it. So that's going to be on its way to you guys. Just a small token, you can say, of appreciation for really putting yourselves out there and sharing so much with us. So thank you for this
Thank you,
conversation.
Pragya.
Wow, thank you so much. Look forward.
Thanks.
I see your comment, grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It
I'm
always
on both
seems
sides
like,
actually, so I can see.
and that's a conversation we can have in a whole different podcast. That's a podcast in itself, or that's a conversation in itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
Thank you so
joining.
much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Sudipta and Priyanka. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.